All right. Well, it looks like we have a good number here right on time. So good morning from the West Coast. Good afternoon to everyone else. Welcome. Welcome to our audience. And thank you for joining us for our CX Innovation webinar, What Disrupting a Traditional Business Actually Looks Like. I'm Chase Spica, and I'm a part of the content team at Streem. I'd like to begin by welcoming our guest speakers, Raj Midha from American Home Shield and Sena Kwawu from Front Door. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Chase.
All right, we're gonna have a great conversation today, but I do have a few housekeeping items before we get started. So we do plan to have time at the end of our conversation for the audience to ask questions. But to the audience, if you do want to submit a question for our guest speakers, please utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom window. Please do not use the raise hand feature. The only way I will receive your questions is through that Q&A tool. And you can submit them at any time during the webinar, and we will try to get to as many as we can if we have time at the end. All right, great. Now that we have that all settled, I'd like to formally introduce our guest speakers, Raj Midha and Sena Kwawu. Raj is the Senior Vice President and General Manager for American Home Shield and HSA. Over the last 10 plus years, he's had several leadership roles in the home service plan industry, and his expertise lies in strategic growth and marketing. And Sena is the Senior Vice President of Operations for Front Door. He has more than 25 years of multifunctional experience with high growth companies, including, but definitely not limited to, recognizable brands such as GE, Starbucks, and more. And then to provide you all just with a little background on the organizations that Sena and Raj help to lead, Front Door is obsessed with taking the hassle out of owning a home and is the parent company of 4 home service plan brands, including American Home Shield. And then for 50 years, American Home Shield has been helping homeowners protect their homes and budgets from unexpected breakdowns with their home service memberships. With more than 2 million members and a network of over 17,000 independent and qualified contractors, AHS is the largest leading home service plan provider. And before we actually get started with questions for Raj and Sena, we did receive a question from our attendees early today. And that is something that I can actually answer directly. So I'm going to start with that. The question is, I'm interested in hearing how this platform can add front-end service to companies like ours who are using ERPs like Spire or SAP, ticketing systems like Freshdesk, and comm platforms like Jabber or Zoom. How can we work toward a fully integrated platform that can be as automated or human driven as we choose? So just to address that briefly, you can send a link through Zoom or Jabber or whatever your omni-channel contact platform is, like live chat. You can send an invitation link to the Streem platform, but Streem can also be integrated into your CRM system, and with the data that comes through, we can integrate that into your SAP or ERP system of choice. So it is pretty versatile there. Raj and Sena, do you have any insights or plans into integrating Streem into your ERP system?
Yes, Chase, we definitely do, because for us, it gives you the most flexibility for scale by having that embedded in your ERP system, so that you can use Streem no matter what channel. Or else it's going to be a one-off. So we're really excited about that and testing through that at the moment.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we are going to officially kick off our conversation. Raj, as I had mentioned in the introduction, American Home Shield is the leader in home warranties and member support. Even though you guys are in a leading position, the company is looking to evolve. How are you approaching this transformation? And what are 1 or 2 things AHS is doing to help maintain being a leader in the market?
Yeah, thank you, Chase. I'm gonna back up a little bit and just give a brief background on what a home service plan is and what American Home Shield does.
Sure.
At its core, a home service plan is an agreement, usually for a year, that covers the major systems and appliances in a home, like heating, air conditioning, plumbing, kitchen and laundry appliances, things like that. And what it does is it covers the repair or replacement of those systems that eventually are going to break down due to normal wear and tear. And we manage the process through a nationwide contractor network. And really the problem we're solving is with home repair service, the need for service is unpredictable. It's difficult to get the right provider with the right skills to your home. And it can be expensive, and there can be unexpected expenses for homeowners. So what we're trying to do from a transformation perspective is we're trying to take this headache for consumers and turn it into a subscription where our members pay a monthly fee for coverage on all of those systems and appliances. And if something goes wrong, they can reach out to us. And one thing about a subscription business model that's really important is building long-lasting member relationships. It's the key to success in a subscription business is retaining customers and driving higher lifetime value. And the pivot we've made in our thinking is from thinking about the customers we deal with as customers and transactions, and really thinking about it as members and relationships. And we're really focused on what we can do to create members for life in our business. And obviously member experience, especially around the claims process, is core to that transformation. And it's a challenging one for us because essentially the products we deal with, we have to be able to deal with every single type of home system or appliance in every home in the country and anything that can go wrong with them. So it's a massively complex set of problems, and our goal is to scale that. So we want to grow fast. So that makes the problem even harder. And so really the challenge we're trying to solve, and this is where Streem comes in, is we need a way to take our expertise and scale it across a ton of different problems across our business, and then meet members where they're at and solve their problems for them.
Awesome. Yeah, I can imagine trying to scale plus maintain that personalized relationship definitely provides an obstacle. So you had mentioned you're focusing on the subscription model and building long-term relationships and that lifetime support model for your members. So how do you approach accomplishing that? Because that is pretty difficult at scale.
Yeah, I mean, that's the core challenge we've got to solve. And I think the things that, from my perspective, Streem really helps unlock are, for us, are one, it breaks the constraints of time and space when it comes to matching an expert with a problem. So it's almost magical in this effect that we're no longer constrained by a contractor with a set of expertise and the driving distance and the route they're on between them and the homeowner. So we're able to break that constraint, which is hugely valuable for us. So we can schedule a virtual appointment with the very best expert for a particular question. We no longer have to think about the constraints of time and space. We can schedule it without having to worry about what's called the traveling salesman problem, which is, because of the way service calls are zoned and routed, sometimes it can be a week until the right expert's going to be in your area. And that's wait time for our members. And so we can break that constraint too. We can get a Streem call scheduled much more efficiently. We don't have to worry about drive times and zones. And so that's kind of another, we believe, magical part of the Streem virtual service appointment experience. The second thing is it's especially, this is more future looking, but it's going to give us the ability to really systematize expertise. So instead of that expertise living inside the heads of the 60,000 technicians we work with, we're going to have the ability to not only look at what's happening, but turn it into data that we can use to learn and improve from. In the future, we're going to have this amazing data set that enables machine learning and automation. And really coming back to the consumer, I think obviously they love getting a diagnosis faster. They love not having to wait, but the more granular and systematized we can make our expertise, the more personalized we can make the solutions for the member. And so we think that's the unlock for Streem to helping us achieve our vision of really personalized service on complex systems at scale.
I love that. The breaking the constraints of time and space sounds like out of a sci-fi movie, but we're here and that's what it's doing for those personalized experiences and relationships. So that is super cool to hear.
Yeah, for the Marvel Universe fans, it's a little like
yeah.
Doctor Strange. That's probably the best analogy there.
It really is. Yeah, we live in the future, don't we? So Raj, speaking of the future and sci-fi and innovations, if you will, as the general manager of American Home Shield, are there any innovations or trends that you're most excited about in the next 5 to 10 years, and maybe what's next for AHS?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of things I'm excited about, but I mean, one thing we're focused on is really starting from the member and working backwards. What is it that our members really want? So ultimately, what they want is not necessarily someone coming to their home to fix their air conditioner. What they want is cold air. So if we're thinking about it like that, there's lots of things we can do to help them achieve their goals that might be different from just sending a technician out to a home to fix a problem. One thing we're really focused on is helping them maintain their home. So the more we can help them maintain their systems and appliances, the less need they have. And they appreciate that. They, like I said, they want cold air. They're not necessarily looking for a large number of repairs from us. That's not the consumer's KPI. The other thing we're thinking about is how do we broaden our value proposition? So right now our model is 100% do it for me. So we send an expert out, they do it. But in some cases, the consumer just wants something resolved quickly. And the best solution might be do it with me, or teaching the customer how to do a simple fix by themselves. And again, they just want their systems and appliances running smoothly. They don't necessarily care how it's accomplished. So that's another piece of where we're going. And then the third piece of where we're going is really thinking more broadly about what are the services we should offer beyond those core break fix of systems and appliances. Consumers want to enjoy their home. There's lots of things that come into play and when it comes to taking the hassle out of the home. So we're constantly thinking about how we can add additional services. And I'll say technology and Streem is a big part of how we accomplish those pieces. I think probably one we're really excited about is the opportunity to have do it with me solutions, where an expert can walk a member through what's happening and potentially fix the problem without a site visit. And some of our pilots we're seeing some really interesting, exciting early results on that front.
That's awesome. I love that you're using the technology of the future, if you will, to maintain that simple goal and the best practice of, it's all about the relationship and meeting the customer where they are and where they demand the service. So that's pretty awesome to cross those two. Senna, this one's for you. Front Door and AHS have a large network of partner relationships. I think we mentioned in our introductions, you have over 17,000 professional contractors and over 60,000 technicians. And many of these contractors and technicians come from very traditional backgrounds. So how do you handle the management of those technicians and inspire your partners and employees to embrace innovative channels such as Streem and help them evangelize it with members?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. First of all, I'll start off by saying, it's having a great partner like Raj, who's really my internal customer, right? It's his member organization that he manages through that we serve in operations out of some of our brands. Look, to drive change, you have to articulate what is in it for me. And I think if you listen to what Raj has said, what you will see is if you are a service provider, a partner of ours, you're trying to get what a metric I use is kind of first time complete. You're trying to improve your first time complete, right? Member wants cold air. Your job, what you hope to do is resolve and give them the ability to access cold air as quickly as possible, and you fix it right the first time. So once you can articulate that value to our partners and the technicians, it's actually much easier to start having that conversation. Right now, practically, here's the part that gets exciting, because you have a cohort who just see that value almost immediately. Right, we've had conversations with some of those relationships. Right, they're like, I am going to force everybody to go through this. Right, I'm not excited about the word force, but I understand why he wants to do that, because he sees the value. He sees the ability of improving his hit rate, of his improving his first time complete, because it also improves his cost profile, right, as a service deliverer, right? Because we're paying them for a service, and we can get that done really, really fast. Then there's a second group that are worried about, but I'm losing the opportunity of touching this customer and demonstrating that I'm bringing value to them, right? And there, the conversation is about, do you really understand? How can we help you appreciate what the customer sees as value versus what you see as value? I really love the way Raj set it up, right? The customer is not seeing value of you coming to fix my system. The value they're seeing is, I have cold air as quickly as possible in 103-degree heat, right? And I don't have to call you back 2 days later, right? And so once you start that conversation with our folks, they start to appreciate what you're trying to do. There's also a small element that we're discovering, is then there is the opportunity as a service provider to remote assist your guys in the field, right? I believe Streem has some relationships that are already doing that already, but I'll tell you, we're also seeing that opportunity in our space, where there's a young technician out there dealing with a complex, system. As Raj said, right? We service everything, everywhere in the 50 states. So you as a new technician or a younger technician don't always get to see every complex system all the time. But I have a seasoned owner back in the office who I can then stream with and who can guide me through. Again, focusing on value to the customer, getting cold air. In the old days, what would have happened is that new person would have gone, looked at it and said, oops, I got to call my boss, right? And then my boss is going to come, well, their calendar says Tuesday and it's Thursday today. This way I could just stream directly with my boss and fix it. So we're seeing that coming. So what starts teasing out is the efficiency of delivering customer value. So that's where we try to focus the conversation on, is let them see the value to their bottom line, to be honest, while still meeting customer expectations.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because we're experiencing a heat wave as a country, and at least here on the West Coast, we're expecting this weekend, like we were talking about. And the idea of having to wait 3 days to get an air conditioner fixed, it's too late. You're hot, and that's a terrible customer experience. And like you said, those efficiencies to be able to solve that same day potentially in first call resolution makes a huge difference and drives that value, hopefully both with the technicians and your members. And so Raj, speaking of deep value and member satisfaction, in March of 2021, we partnered with AHS and gathering data during a pilot of Streem and uncovered some pretty fantastic results, one of which is that 92% of your members who use interactive video powered by Streem said they would use video diagnosis again. So were you surprised by that? Because it is a new technology and a new tool. Was those early findings surprising, or were there any kind of early successes that you were excited about?
Yeah, I'd say the early results weren't necessarily surprising, but very encouraging for sure. As Senna mentioned, he and I have been partnered very closely on driving the use of Streem throughout our business. And so this pilot is one of the main things we're focused on. And we're using virtual diagnosis both within our contact centers and by our technicians to solve appliance problems. That's where we're using it. And I'd say the thing we've been most excited about from a result standpoint is around how much efficiency that Streem can drive. So specifically, 70% of the time when Streem is used, the technician can save a trip because they're able to prepare, order parts in advance of getting to the home. And in appliances especially, there's a lot of SKUs and there's a lot of different parts. And so the technician can't have all the parts on their truck. So they have to go out, they have to diagnose it, and they have to come back. So that's 2 truck rolls. And it's super exciting that we found that 70% of the time we can eliminate one of those truck rolls. So that's amazing productivity improvement. In some cases up to 10% of the time, we're able to solve the problem without a visit. So there's a DIY fix that we can walk the member through. So that's exciting too. I think the other exciting results are around really the pieces of the member experience. Instead of having 4-hour windows with Streem, you can schedule much tighter windows. So 30 minutes to an hour. So that means that the member spends less time waiting and has less uncertainty about when the expert's going to be able to connect with them. And then the other thing that's really exciting is about how quick you can schedule those Streem appointments. So we've been able to get appointments scheduled 40% sooner. 2/3 of the time they can get that virtual diagnosis scheduled on the same day. And like I said, those time and space problems that we were dealing with in the past, that would have been totally impossible. And so Streem has really unlocked that, which has made our contractors more productive, but it's also improved the member experience. So that's been really, really promising results we've seen so far.
Yeah, those are some great numbers. And I would imagine the member satisfaction in turn gets even more buy-in from the contractors. And it's kind of that cyclical experience. If you can drive value for one or the other, it essentially drives value for both. Great. So we actually do have some questions from the audience, and I know we are getting a little bit short on time, so I'd love to go into a few of those. This one's for Senna. Senna, when implementing any new channel or process, are there 1 or 2 things that surprised you as an obstacle, and what have you learned from them?
Yeah, I'm going to state an obvious one. The fact that I'm excited about it doesn't necessarily mean my partner is excited about it. Right. I think you started with a change management question earlier. Definitely focus on change management in a structured way, no matter how much this makes sense to you, on how much value that brings. Definitely spend time focus on change management. I'll say a second thing, and Raj touched on it a little bit. Try to make it as seamless as possible, right? Because the natural tendency of users is, I know, no matter how kludgy today's path is, I know it, right? And so if at any stage at all, what's supposed to look and feel fluid does not feel fluid, I know my old path. It is just easier for me in crunch to go back to my old path.
Yeah.
And the reason I differentiate that from the general change management is getting folks intellectually to buy into it and see value. This is really transactional. This says, the second I try it and it doesn't work, I'm going back to my old way. Right? The second I try to have the phone call with the virtual diagnosis with a customer and I have phone issues, that's it. I'm rolling a truck the next day. And so that's the one thing we've learned is we've got to make sure all those tactical things are also lined up to give the most fluid experience to both the customer and the contractor.
Great. That's great insight. Senna, this is for you as well. And it's kind of along the same lines of obstacles with implementation. Interactive video and innovation in general can be expensive. So how do you balance innovation and what channels you implement to stay within your operational budget?
Yeah, so That's a bit of an interesting one. And I'll tell you why I think it's an interesting one is, Raj laid out for you, right? 70% of the time, my business partner, the contractor, is reducing a truck roll. Right? While I don't get charged operationally for each truck roll, there's an embedded value of delivering the service that I have in my numbers, right? So once my partner is seeing improvement, there's an inherent improvement that's going to come on my bottom line, right? And we expect that, number one. Number two, first time fix is really important to us. So whether it's first time fix with the first truck roll or first time fix, because when my agent does a video call with a customer, they're able to identify the opportunity, send that stream over to the contractor for the contractor to review it before showing up at the house, right? All that comes back to me with lower claims costs by having that, because they most likely get a chance to order the right part the first time, so I don't lose, part ordering experience. So for us, the math was actually pretty easy to get to. It was more the implementation, the adoption. So my advice to folks listening: the math is easy on a per unit basis. The math is easy. You get to capture that value by increasing adoption and use.
I love to hear you say that, because so many companies live by the numbers, right? We have to prove the numbers. So you saying that that's the easy part is music to my ears. We have another one for Senna. Your teams are on the front line and have the best vantage point for what works and what doesn't work. How do you empower your employees to help aid in suggesting new innovative channels and strategies?
Yeah. At the end of the day, we started by delivering value to the member at their time of need. Taking the hassle out of home ownership is really the core, right? It's not just a tagline; it's a house rule, right? It's one of the kind of obsessing over customers' problems. It's a house rule. So again, that makes that conversation with our employee base really, really easy. Like innovations such as this, us obsessing over a customer's problem and delivering, on our promise of taking the hassle out of ownership, right? The other house rule that borders this for me is, if you think as an owner, so you're putting yourself in the customer's shoes, and you look at the change we're trying to drive, is that making life easier for the customer, right? And so we tend to box the conversation with our associates as to, this is why we're putting in this new innovation, right? I think too many times, especially folks like me who run operations, we focus on, oh, this is a unit cost improvement that we're driving. That's a given. So let's just start there. That's a given. To get my employee base excited about it, you've got to take it back to why they come to work every day, which is take the hassle out of ownership, home ownership, obsess over customer problems, and think as an owner.
Great. Those are great values and house rules to live by. Okay, so we are getting close to time, but I love this question from our audience. It's our last one. It's in the first person. So Raj, I'm a small business owner, but also work with contractors and technicians. Do you have any guidance on what you do as a large company that I could potentially apply to my small business?
Yeah, I think Senna made a really important insight, which is, even though as leaders, we totally get where we're going and how compelling the future is, there's a lot of different people we need to come along with us who they may not be resistant to change, but they have a lot of well-established motions that they're just really used to running and good at running. And if you don't get them to come along with you, you're not going to succeed. So I'd say the biggest advice is, and I think it's true in any kind of organization where there's more than one person involved, it's being super clear about clarity of purpose. So that's one where Sen and I have spent a ton of time on just making sure everybody's super clear on what we're trying to accomplish. And then it's alignment, 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 and then checking for alignment, and then some more alignment. And so just making sure that that clarity of purpose translates to everybody who needs it.
Excellent. I love that insight. Well, we are at time. I wish I could talk to you guys all day. You're so intelligent and bring such insight. So thank you both, Raj and Senna, for being here today with us. And thank you to all of those who tuned in. We will be sending a follow-up email with access to our newly published case study with AHS we had mentioned earlier in the webinar. So be on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, you can always visit our resources page at www.streem.com/learn/resources for more case studies and more information about Streem. Thank you all again for joining, and I hope everyone has a great day. Goodbye.